Hello everyone. In this episode I will show you how you can make your figures interact with the objects they're sitting on by magically deforming them. So imagine you had a figure and he or she sits down and she would either intersect with a flat object, or if you want to add a bit more realism to it, the object underneath it would bend down depending on how deep the character sits in it and also how the character sits on it. This is inspired actually by a comment from James Orrell in our recent stream over on the DAZ channel. Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention, James. It's been something that I've been playing around with but never made a tutorial about, so there we go. Here, let me show you a little example of what this looks like. Here I have the thumbnail for this video. And we can see that my character is sitting down here, and the seat, I say seat, it's just a cube primitive that kind of bends underneath her. And if I show you this scene in DAZ Studio, you can see that when I move the figure, this bending motion will actually be updated live. So I haven't sculpted anything here in ZBrush or in Blender. This is just what DAZ Studio can do out of the box. Here she is. This is a Toon Generation 4 female, I believe. And if I go and select her, then you can see that first, as I move her, the cube goes back to its default position, and then it goes and it takes a second, and then it snaps right into whatever she's doing. So I can also go and move her back a little bit and have her shoe intersect with the cube, and then that brings a little indentation in the cube at the front there. In fact, let me hide the whole figure and her clothing. I can do that by control clicking on the little eyeball icon, and that will make her and everything that's parented to her disappear. That's different to just clicking the eyeball icon without the control, because that will leave her clothing in place, and we might not want that. So if you go and hit control and click that eyeball icon, the whole figure disappears, which is kind of nice. So even though we don't see the figure, we can see the indentation she's making in the cube. And if I go and move her to the left, kind of imagine she's still sitting on there. It takes a second, but then the indentation is basically just moving to wherever the figure is moving. And this is made possible by the magic of a smoothing modifier. And that is something that conforming clothing often employs, so that DAZ Studio can figure out what is the clothing and what's the figure, where do these things need to collide with one another, and then modify one with the other. And that is how you get that beautiful auto-smoothed look on figures and of clothing around figures, even though the clothing doesn't necessarily know the morphs that are inside the figure. So how did I make this happen? First of all, I'm going to go and bring my figure back, and I'm going to go and delete the cube. I'll show you this twice actually, once with a primitive that I'm using and once with a prop item that I'll bring in from my library. So let's go ahead and create a cube. I'll leave the character in place. It's kind of a nice sitting position here. So create primitive, and I will use a cube with the size of 1 meter, and I'll give it some divisions. So the default will be 1, but I'll give it 10 divisions. That should be plenty. You can give it more, but 10 is gonna be plenty to begin with. That'll make that, and that is maybe a little bit too big. Okay, no worries. Let's go and select the cube, and since I have my character in place already, if I were to scale the cube now, maybe I can see the cube better if I give it a little bit of a different color here. Just give it somewhat of a color. That might be good. So if I were to scale the cube now, it'll scale from the middle, and that means I'm going to have to go and put it onto the ground plane, which might be a little bit cumbersome for me. So instead, before I scale the cube, I'll go and look at it from the front or the left, it doesn't really matter, from the front will do, and I'll adjust the pivot point of the cube so that it's right at the bottom, like what we have on figure. So that way if I scale the cube, it'll scale from the bottom and it'll remain on the bottom plane. Let me go and do that with the little joint editor tool. That's this guy here. If I click that, then you can see that you have 2 mini manipulators here that will denote the beginning and the end of where a bone technically begins. We don't have that. I'll just go and grab the bottom one, the green one, and move that right to the bottom. And then I'll go switch back to my universal manipulator, and boom, good stuff. Pivot point is now at the bottom of the cube. So now I can go ahead and scale it, and that will leave the bottom face on the bottom. Let me make it so that she kind of just about embeds herself into the cube like so. So if you don't use this tip, then you kind of have a choice of making the sitting motion look like that, and the geometry will always kind of intersect with the cube, and it's just about working okay, but we can just add that extra bit of realism to it. And here's how we do that. So with the cube selected, I'll add this magic thing called a smoothing modifier to it. You will find that on the edit menu. So under edit you have object and figure and scene and all these things. We're going to use object, so edit object, and then in here you have geometry, and then in here you have add smoothing modifier. And that's this magic thing. It has several other options. I'll leave that up to you to explore. Those are very exciting. We might come back to those in an upcoming video. But for now, we're going to go and add a smoothing modifier. And apparently nothing really has happened. And it's because that smoothing modifier has added itself on the parameters tab. So on here, we now have mesh resolution. We had that before, that's like base and high resolution, which we don't have yet. Might come back to that later. And also we have mesh smoothing, and that's kind of the magic tab that we need to talk about. So in here we find a collision item, and that is something that the smoothing modifier will interact with. Specifically, we can tell it what item we would like it to collide with. In our case, that's the Genesis figure. So let's pick her. Toon Generations 4 Genesis 8 female, and when we do that we can already see that something has happened in the scene. So there's something that has created a little indentation underneath her here, and it's fairly basic, but the cube has certainly been modified in some shape or form. And it'll keep modifying itself if I go and either make the cube larger or make the figure go down further into the cube. Let's do that. I'll take the figure and move her down a little bit. And then at first we see it's intersecting still, but as soon as I let go of my mouse, it'll go and create this little ditch here, which is quite fascinating. It looks a little bit rough and janky right now. If I go and make the figure disappear, you can see that better. But this is basically a perfect impression of her behind in the cube, which is awesome. There's a couple of options on the cube and back on the parameters tab that you can mess with. One of them is the smoothing iterations, and the other one is the collision iterations here. They kind of go hand in hand. Smoothing iterations, if you crank that up from the default value of 2 to something higher, you will see that, this is 10 for example, you will see that the shape of the outline of whatever's indented in that is changing. So there comes a point where a higher amount of iterations doesn't necessarily make it better. It takes DAZ Studio a little bit longer to calculate all these iterations, but if you crank that up to something like 20 or 50, that's kind of a good start here. Depends on the object, depends on personal preference, depends on the situation really. The other one here, collision iterations, is similar. That just tells DAZ Studio how often this whole collision process is supposed to be calculated. 3 is the default. You can set that higher to something like 10 or 20 as well. Play around with that and see when you achieve the best result. So this is the principle of how to do that. If we can make it a little bit better, there is something that I haven't applied yet for this particular object, and that is the subdivision surface modifier. That is another magic thing that is technically something different, but if we use it in conjunction with this, you can achieve quite spectacular results. It's applied very similarly if you select the cube or the object in question and head back over to Edit, Object, Geometry. There's Convert to Sub D, and that is, if you're familiar with this concept in Blender, that will apply a subdivision surface modifier that will imply more geometry than is actually there. So if you imagine a polygon is a square, and if you were to subdivide that, you make this into 4 polygons, and that is one subdivision level. So that's geometry that doesn't exist on the object, that is added on the fly to make the object look smoother. And that is exactly what we're going to do here. That's exactly what's applied to Genesis figures as well as clothing by default, not always to architecture and other props and items in your environment. They often don't have that because it's not necessary. But on our cube, if we make that happen, then you can see that things get slightly more rounded, and that is the applied subdivision. Note that if you do that on some objects, you might see that the geometry literally collapses, and the cube, if I didn't have all my 10 divisions there per side, then it'll just collapse into a sphere, kind of a spheroid object. But if you do that, this whole ditch here gets a little bit smoother. That is why I was showing you that. So let's go and bring our figure back and let her sit on the cube. That's kind of cool. So if we were to go and scale the cube up and make it bigger, make her dig into it more, that ditch will just follow, and that's just absolutely magical, I find. Absolutely magical. You can sit her, you can move her over to the side here, and if we do that, the cube will bend on the side. It is absolutely exciting. I find that is just a great tip and a great way to add more realism to your scenes without having to take these objects into an external editor and do anything else with it. Let me go and show you this with another object. I'm going to go and delete my cube and go into the bundle that we used, which was the Fred Rise to Fame bundle, or the FG talk show set. That comes with the bundle, and in it we have a variety of props. You can use it with the prop that is already in the scene. I'm just going to go and drag this FG launch chair in here, double click it to bring it in. There's the launch chair, and if I go and bring my figure back and have a quick look at her, then I will go and put her into position, into something that might make her comfortable on the seat. Something like that. I think the seat itself is a bit too small, or she's not quite low down enough. Kind of depends how you look at it. I'm going to go and make her just dig into that seat a little bit, and also go and maybe move her back. Yeah, I think the legs on the chair are actually a little bit too small. So maybe I'll go and make the seat a little bit bigger, just because I think that's, you know, that's probably more of an accurate chair. I guess it really depends on how tall your figures are. There, let's make something like that. And so with the chair now, I can do exactly the same thing. I can go and select the launch chair and head over to Edit, Object, Geometry, add Smoothing Modifier. And when I do that, head over to the Parameters tab, head over to Mesh Smoothing, and go and pick the correct collision item, which in our case is the Genesis figure. Hit Accept, and see a ditch appear in front of your very eyes. And then have a little play with the values. I'm thinking smoothing iterations, let's make that 20. That makes that ditch a little bit spread out. And that is looking mighty nice, I'm thinking. If I go and remove my figure, I can see a very nice ditch in the chair, and I didn't have to do any modeling, I didn't have to do any sculpting or mess around with external tools. It is just absolutely beautiful. If I go and make my chair a little bit larger still, so that her derriere kind of bends more into the chair, it'll automatically follow. And once again, if I move the figure over to the left or to the right, you can see that those indentations just magically follow where we move our character. I find that is just absolutely spectacular. So thank you for the tip, James, and I hope you got a lot out of it. If you have any questions about this or other tutorials that I've made, then please do let me know. If you'd like to support me on this crazy journey of giving you more tips and tricks going forward on my YouTube channel, then please stop by my Patreon campaign or consider buying me a coffee on Ko-fi.com. You can also do your DAZ shopping via my affiliate link that is in the description of this video. That gives me a tiny cut of every purchase you have made, and I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.